So obviously I have the first injury and I sit out 4 games and then I come back and I play really well.
Yeah.
And I feel really good. And like even this beginning of the year, like I played great. Like I started the year really good. Like I felt really great. Like my numbers were great. I was shooting the ball well. And then I get hurt and it's like, okay, like you gotta get healthy, whatever. You're like, I'm gonna do whatever I can, you know, to get back to what I was doing.
Every major story has a tipping point, a moment when the line is crossed and there's no going back. For Caitlin Clark and her team, that point wasn't defined by a single hard foul or dirty play. It was the moment they realized something far more unsettling. The system that should have protected her simply wouldn't. What followed wasn't just a reaction, it was a full-scale reckoning. And now, the fallout has reached beyond the court and into the halls of federal authority. You've probably seen the headlines about a government investigation, but what you haven't seen is the event that triggered it. The moment so egregious, so blatantly dismissive, that Clark's camp decided enough was enough. The league thought this was just about basketball. They were wrong. This is about a pattern of neglect, a wall of silence, and a response so passive it became dangerous. And now, it's under federal scrutiny. But before you can understand the breaking point, you need to understand the build-up, the months of repeated, targeted physical play that left Clark exposed, over and over again. This wasn't a one-time incident. It was a trend. And the numbers back it up. Caitlin Clark has been involved in over 17% of all flagrant fouls in the 2024 WNBA season, despite being just one of many players in the league. That's not coincidence. That's not just rookie treatment. That's a red flag, the kind that screams targeted aggression. We've all seen the clips. One after another. Chendi Carter delivered a blindside hit away from the play, knocking Clark to the ground. Angel Reese made contact with Clark's head on a contested shot. Marina Mabrey pushed her so forcefully, it looked more like a hockey check than a basketball play. Different teams. Different players. Same message. It became clear. This wasn't random. It was intentional. At first, league representatives and online defenders tried to dismiss the growing outrage. They told fans Clark was simply learning the ropes, that this was normal, that she needed to toughen up. But then, the truth slipped out. On her podcast, Clark's teammate Sophie Cunningham pulled back the curtain. She revealed what other teams were saying behind closed doors. Specifically, she recounted how the Phoenix Mercury had talked in the locker room about showing Clark what the league is really like. She admitted rookie treatment is standard, but said this was different. More than usual. That's not speculation, it's a direct admission. That's evidence of coordinated, premeditated targeting. And through it all, the league stayed silent. No statements. No disciplinary actions. No clear support. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and league leadership watched while Clark, the player largely credited for skyrocketing jersey sales and drawing in record-breaking viewership, took hit after hit without protection. A rookie who has become the face of the WNBA was left to fend for herself. And this isn't the first time concerns have been raised about the league's culture. Former star Candace Wiggins once spoke out about being pushed out of the WNBA, claiming a toxic environment made it unbearable to continue.
Part has just been like the stop and go of everything. Like, yeah. And also like with the type of injuries that I've dealt with, like there's no real, it's not like 6 weeks. All right, you're coming back for the Connecticut Sun game on August
all about how you
30th or whatever. It's like, how do you feel? Like, and even like when I have been back, like I don't know how I'm gonna feel the next day after playing, like when you're dealing with like these type of injuries. So I think just like the patience of dealing with all of that and giving myself a lot of grace. And
she said she was bullied constantly, in part because of how she identified and didn't fit in with the dominant locker room culture. At the time, many dismissed her claims. Now, her words feel like a warning that was ignored. Because this isn't just about Clark. It's about what happens when jealousy, resentment, and a refusal to evolve converge in a league that's suddenly under a global spotlight. Even fan voting exposed the rift. Caitlin Clark received a record-breaking 1.3 million All-Star votes from the public. But when her fellow players weighed in, she didn't even rank in the top 5 among guards. She came in ninth. That disconnect isn't just strange, it's telling. To the fans, she's a generational talent. To some players, she's a threat. That level of dismissal points to something deeper than just competitive spirit. It points to a culture issue, one where certain voices want to maintain control, even at the expense of the league's growth. And now, with federal attention turned toward the WNBA, the league can no longer hide behind silence. What started as a series of missed calls has become a full-blown crisis, one that might redefine how professional women's basketball is governed, protected, And ultimately, remembered. Here's the twist no one saw coming. While the WNBA remained silent and players around the league closed ranks, Caitlin Clark's team was quietly gathering evidence. They weren't just absorbing the contact, they were tracking it. Every hit, every push, every comment made in interviews or on podcasts about targeting Clark was being documented. Not for a highlight reel, but for a legal file. Behind the scenes, her representation had been preparing. They anticipated backlash. They foresaw the jealousy. And while the league kept treating this like just another season, her team was building something much more serious. A potential civil rights case. So, what triggered the shift from quiet preparation to open confrontation? What moment turned a simmering conflict into a legal firestorm? It wasn't just Chendi Carter's now infamous shoulder check. It was what happened after. The officials on the floor didn't call it flagrant. The league took hours, not minutes, to review and reclassify the foul. To many, that felt like PR management, not justice. That hesitation said everything. Clark's team saw a league that appeared unwilling or afraid to hold its players accountable. Worse, instead of condemning the foul, other players publicly supported Carter. That was the turning point. The moment when Clark's camp realized the system wasn't just flawed, it was potentially complicit. From that point on, it was clear. Playing by the league's rules wouldn't be enough. They had to take the fight to a higher authority. That's when the approach changed, from collection to action. First came a formal inquiry. Congressman Jim Banks sent a letter directly to the WNBA commissioner, demanding answers about the league's failure to curb what appeared to be excessive and targeted physical play. Then, a sharply worded op-ed hit the Wall Street Journal, authored by former White House advisor Sean McKelvey, calling for a federal investigation into whether the league had become a hostile workplace. These weren't isolated moves. This was a coordinated legal maneuver built around civil rights protections, specifically Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, which prohibits harassment and discrimination in professional environments. In the span of days, the conversation moved from sports to civil litigation, from referees to federal law, from fouls to potential federal violations. And here's the part the league fears most. Discovery. If this becomes a federal case, the WNBA could be legally required to turn over internal documents, emails, messages, communications between staff and referees. If even one of those communications contains a damaging statement, like an executive telling officials to let them play when it comes to Clark, it could confirm bias or even deliberate negligence. This is the nightmare scenario. A single leaked or subpoenaed email that reveals favoritism, retaliation, or institutional misconduct. That could tear down more than reputations, it could end careers. And this isn't just internet speculation. High-profile commentators, including ESPN's Stephen A. Smith, have already acknowledged that Clark's team does have a credible legal argument. The conversation has shifted. Even mainstream voices are admitting that the line between physical play and targeted harassment may have been crossed. The real breaking point wasn't the contact on the court. It was the realization that silence from the top wasn't accidental. It was tactical. A choice. A gamble that fans would move on and the pressure would fade. But it didn't. Now, multiple sources in Washington suggest federal bodies are reviewing the growing pile of evidence and formal complaints. What started as a sports controversy is inching closer to a legal showdown. The question isn't if something big is coming, it's when. Every day the WNBA stays quiet, that fuse burns shorter. And the next headline might not be about a game. It might be the internal document that confirms everything. They thought Clark would be pushed into silence. Instead, she and her team may have sparked the reckoning that finally forces the league to face accountability. The silence is over. The moment of no return has passed. And the truth? It's not just a ticking clock anymore, it's a matter of public record waiting to break.